Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would show you an update on what I was working on the last couple days, and I got a bit sidetracked, quite a bit sidetracked, I guess. Um, I showed a wireframe of a space carrier last video, and did a lot of work to it, and it's still wireframe-ish in places, definitely, but let me just show you what I've got going on here so far on this. Keep in mind this is the biggest creation I've ever tried to build in this game, by a pretty good margin actually. So I'm just kind of going down one side of the ship right now, kind of seeing the center structure to the left. Um, and as you can see, it's still going. It's still going. Um, Yeah, kind of excited about this. I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy. Um, but I'm really liking it too. Did quite a lot of block work to this thing so far. I've got big chunks to do yet, like from this whole area back of the ship. Um, but you kind of get the idea on what this thing actually is. And then seeing the Persis next to it, you can kind of get an idea on the scale of this in comparison to existing ships that I've been building. In fact, this dwarfs the Carrier war carrier as well. Um, yeah, not sure I know what I'm getting myself into on this, but I had to do it. It just sounded really fun, and I'm actually building a ship that I would consider to be a, you know, I don't know, size-wise and stuff, like a real spaceship, I guess. I don't know. Hard to explain. But yeah, this is the progress that's been made on it so far. Probably about 5-6 hours of just block work to it from where it was at its wireframe state. Um, so it's going along pretty quickly overall on the exterior. At least just doing blocks and not getting into texturing or coloring. Where the big thing is going to be is on the interior, and that is going to take an excessive amount of time, undoubtedly. Uh, so this is a long-term project. I'll put it that way. I would not expect to actually have this done for another month or two. Now, one thing I did talk to another author, Crazy Z, and basically well, maybe I conned him into it. I'm not sure, but he agreed to do some crew areas in this ship. So once I get the some interior mapping laid out, I'll kind of turn a chunk of it over to Crazy for so he can do up some crew quarters and things like that. And it'd kind of be neat to get some different styles involved in this ship as well. Um, but that's kind of what I wanted to show you, and a couple other aspects of the ship. Um, in comparison to real world ships, the nuclear powered carrier, the Nimitz class U.S. carriers, are 333 meters long. Um, in comparison, this ship is 338 meters long. So it's basically the size of an actual Nimitz class aircraft carrier, um, or pretty close to it. Granted, it's a different layout, and some of the stuff, maybe it's a little longer because I've got this front section over here kind of sticking out a little bit, things like that. But it's pretty close to the size of an actual, super carrier, or what's considered to be a super carrier. And that's kind of what I'm looking at this. This is a space-only super carrier. Um, and it's going to have more carrying capacity than anything else I've ever made by a big margin. Not even like a comparison even to the Persis, which is a pretty big carrier with a lot of docking space and things like that. It just doesn't even compare to what this other ship is. So call me crazy, call me eccentric. Yeah, I know. I also expect this to be upward above class 30, I'm guessing. Rough guess right now. Current in its present form with blocks and possibly most of the thrusters that it's going to have, it is at size class 9 currently, but that's, a good chunk of the hull is not done on this thing yet, and it's probably going to get to closer to size class 15 by the time I get the exterior body done on it. And then the interior is going to really ramp that size class up a lot uh, fairly quickly. So I'm just taking a ballpark guess that this is going to be somewhere around size class 30 range, somewhere in there. I just thought I'd show that, and trying to think on a couple other things that I had going on here. On release schedules, basically I intend on having this Marston base out this Sunday. I did a little bit more to the inside of it, and I kind of want to jam on that today and tomorrow to finish this up. This will be released as well as the Marauder the Marauder T3 SV, which is Tier 3 SV, this guy over here. Look how dinky it looks compared to the ship. And I really dig that about the scaling, though. When you're even flying around a ship like this, and especially, once it's all textured and detailed up and things like that, it's going to have a feeling that you just wouldn't expect from Imperium, I would say. Or, any of the voxel building games out there. I'm sure some of them get some pretty big stuff. But yeah, this one's gonna hit it probably for potentially the largest thing ever built for the game. We'll see. We'll see how this turns out, or if I ever decide to take on anything like this again. But this is gonna be a slow, ongoing project. It's not gonna take place overnight. I know it looks like a lot was done fairly quickly, but I've been realizing that doing the body of the ships has been I've been getting quicker at it. Basically, I kind of know enough about the blocks and the angles and the things like that where I can kind of get the shapes I want without much thinking about it anymore, and then using the N key tools and to move things around and stretch things out and this and that, and to get the right shape and dimensions that I would like to see on a ship. It actually goes fairly quick in comparison. It's where it really takes a long time to do is especially getting into the interiors, but also coloring and texturing things can take a very long time. Now, this one is symmetrical. I decided I do not want to try to do something this big asymmetrically. It would just take that much longer yet to get it done. And something as big as this is just, that's just almost too much. But anyway, that's pretty much all I had for today on showing you some stuff. But just curious on your thoughts. Would you actually try to spawn like this in a single player game? I highly doubt servers would allow this, but I don't know. Maybe there are some servers that allow really big things. And being space only too, I noticed that just straight off the gates you get much better frame rate in space versus being on the planet. So even though this is a really big ship and I've got some other ships in the area, my frame rate's really good out in space, even with all that stuff. So, but it's a different story if I were to spawn all this stuff on a planet next to each other. It starts hitting my frame rate then too. So, or well, a lot more. Like I'm pretty much maintaining 60 frames a second out in space here, where as a test I kind of had this spawn and like 3 other ships in close proximity all larger CVs, and I noticed a hit on my frame rate on the Planet. And this thing also flies too. It's got thrusters kind of. I've been setting it up so it doesn't need RCS. So I've been actually dumping thrusters on the far ends of the ship. Right now I've got a couple like side thrusters and your reverse thrusters. It has 8 of these lift thrusters, a couple there, a couple back in the back corner over here, as well as some more of these other thrusters here. Granted, I'm missing blocks, and this is, obviously far from finished, but it flies pretty good currently, and this is out of combat steel. I might reduce it to a lesser steel at some point in time for weight purposes, but I figured I might as well just have this thing heavy right now and then see where I'm at when it's said and done. So yeah, it's not a spring chicken. I mean, this thing doesn't fly super fast. It has a lot of forward thrust. Turning's a bit sluggish, but I would expect a ship this size to respond about how it's flying. I worry a little bit because this thing's probably going to be over double the weight that it currently is when it's done. So I'll have to see and evaluate how much thrust I'm going to need at that point in time on it. But right now it's got a very smooth feel to it, flying around and whatnot. It feels pretty good. It really does. And I wouldn't expect anything like this to fly more agile than what it is. So that's about all I had today. I just wanted to show you this. A lot of work was put into this thing so far, and over time, more will keep on getting done on it. But I got to get back and get some other things rolling, and my plan is to have those ships I mentioned already to get completed, as well as the Creel tripod ship that I also want to get into and get that finished up. So this is a long-term thing. Probably won't expect it to see it on the workshop for a good couple months at least right now. And we'll see how production goes on this. But it's a really fun project. I just love this. And that's probably why I freaked so badly on working on this. I didn't need another thing to work on. I got way too many to work on already, but I couldn't help myself. I'm just started fiddling a little bit more and fiddling a little bit more, and then next thing you know, all I want to do is work on this ship and abandon everything else. But I can't do that either. So anyway, I hope you had a good Turkey Day yesterday, and have a great weekend. I'll be back next week with some new videos. I might try to actually get back into the tutorial aspects of things. I've just for the last month or so, I've just been kind of showing projects that I've been working on, and not so much into the building aspects or texturing or coloring or any aspects about that. And I want to get back to that. I might do some tutorials on parts of this ship, parts of the Creel ship, or just some things showing you some block work again. I did a couple of videos on doing blocks in the past, but I keep on learning new things and new tricks as I go, and there's new blocks now, and I just kind of wanted to show you some general methods on what I'm doing to create these kinds of looks on stuff, and how I'm doing angles, kind of larger flowing shapes and bigger angles and things like that. And of course try to keep everything really smooth ish in the end. A lot of breakups, a lot of changes. That's a big aspect of things too. Even this center mass here, it could have been all the same thing, repeating over and over again, but I don't like that. So I keep on this part's different than this part, which is different than this part, a little different than this part's different over here again, and then it's different at the end. And I like that. I like constantly breaking it up. And although there are some repeating patterns in here, but I try to keep that to a minimum, just so there's more to look at in the end. And that's pretty much it. But anyway, y'all have a great day, and I will talk to you next week. See you later.